Ji, Assalamu alaikum and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining today's session. मेरा नाम अलीशान उल हक है. I am the Business Development Manager South, located in Karachi, and I work for ACC Pakistan. जैसा आप सबको पता ही है, this is going to be a very interesting topic जिसके ऊपर आज discussion होने जा रही है. Just to share with you what the purpose of this session is. So Investors Lounge, आपने देखा होगा, so this session is being in collaboration with Investors Lounge. It is an FinTech company जो कि investor awareness और financial inclusion के ऊपर बहुत strongly काम करती है. And last year ACCA signed an MOU with Investors Lounge to develop capital markets and investor awareness skills for our members and future members. तो उसी का हिस्सा ये session है आज, and this is basically the first of a series of sessions जो कि होते रहेंगे और hopefully on a monthly basis. और आज का जो टॉपिक है, जैसा आप सबको पता है, it is opportunities in Pakistan's financial markets. So you must have seen the details and the list of the power-packed speakers that we have today who will be sharing their insights on today's topic. So I will now be introducing the speakers right now. So we have with us Asad Hamid Khan. He is the head of ACC Pakistan. A brief introduction about Asad is a certified director as well as a professional accountant, and he has over 23 years of diverse and progressive C-suite experience in business transformation and developing new legislation, markets, cross-industry channels, and strategic partnerships. Asad, prior to joining ACCA, has been associated with GS Investments and the Securities and Exchange Commission of Pakistan, which is Pakistan's apex regulator for non-banking financial institutions, and he was there in very senior roles. Our next speaker is Khurram Shahid, who is currently the head of investment banking at AKD Securities Limited. Khurram carries with him over 17 years of diversified experience in the financial sector. Khurram has worked on both debt and equity deals and transaction credentials of over $3 billion. Prior to his current role, he has been associated with Acumen Fund, PwC, KPMG, and Grant Thornton. Khurram is also a fellow member of the ACCA. Our next speaker is Mehwish Valiani, who is the Chief Investment Officer at Infrazam in Pakistan. Mehwish possesses a wealth of experience in the financial services industry spanning almost 2 decades. Prior to joining Infrazam, she served as the Executive Vice President and Head of Investment Banking at Bank Al Falah, where she managed a project finance and debt capital markets and syndications portfolio of over $375 million. Mehwish holds an MBA with finance majors from IBA Karachi and is also a CFA charter holder. Last but definitely not the least, this power pack discussion is going to be moderated by Bakar Abbas Jafri, who is the founder and CEO of Investors Lounge. A brief introduction of Bakar. He is an award-winning fintech entrepreneur with over 12 years of experience in financial markets and data-driven investing. In addition to being the founder and chief data scientist of Investors Lounge, he is also the founding director of Pakistan FinTech Network, which is the leading association of fintech companies that aims to digitize financial ecosystem of the country. So without further ado, I would now like to hand over this to Bakar to initiate the panel discussion, and I'm sure we all are looking forward to receiving great insights from this discussion that is going to take place. So over to you, Bakar.
Thank you very much, Alishan. Thank you very much for kind introduction. अच्छा, आज बहुत ही जबरदस्त पैनल पे मौजूद है हमारे साथ. सबसे पहले जो स्टूडेंट्स का बुनियादी सवाल होता है, स्टूडेंट्स प्रोफेशनल्स अकाउंटिंग पढ़ते हैं, फाइनेंस पढ़ते हैं, सीएफए किया हुआ है, एमबीए किया हुआ है, एसीसीए किया हुआ है, वो परेशान है आजकल और ये देखना चाह रहे हैं कि ये इंडस्ट्री किस तरफ मूव कर रही है. जो कन्वेंशनल डिसिप्लिन जो हमारे वालिदैन बताते थे कि अकाउंटिंग कर लेंगे, अकाउंटेंट बन जाएंगे, वो तमाम तर चीजें अब चेंज हो रही हैं. नए प्रोफेशंस आ रहे हैं, नए इन्वेस्टमेंट एवेन्यूज आ रहे हैं पाकिस्तान की फाइनेंशियल मार्केट्स में. तो पहला सवाल दैट आई एम गोइंग टू हैव योर लाइटिंग डिस्कशन ऑन इज कि पाकिस्तान में अभी इस वक्त जबकि आप देख रहे हैं कि इन्फ्लेशन ज्यादा है, कन्वेंशनल इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स पे इंटरेस्ट रेट्स कम है, दैट इज टू से द रियल रेट ऑफ रिटर्न वो नेगेटिव है. मुराद इसके कि हर साल के एंड में जो आपके पैसे की रियल वैल्यू है वो नीचे गिर रही है बजाय इसके कि वो बढ़ रही है। इन हालात के अंदर एज अ प्रोफेशनल आप किस तरह से फाइनेंशियल मार्केट्स में इन्वेस्टमेंट अपॉर्चुनिटीज को तलाश करें? दैट्स अ कोर क्वेश्चन हियर बिकॉज अ लॉट ऑफ बिग प्रोफेशनल्स जो कि हम देख रहे हैं कि प्रोफेशनल फंड मैनेजर्स एज वेल, इन्वेस्टमेंट प्रोफेशनल्स एज वेल, वो इसी तगड़ो में है कि अपॉर्चुनिटीज हैं कहाँ एज अ प्रोफेशनल। सो फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन खुरम, अपॉर्चुनिटीज आखिर हैं कहाँ? आप आई एम श्योर आप एकेडी से भी एडवाइस करते हैं अपने इन्वेस्टर्स को। अभी पाकिस्तान की फाइनेंशियल मार्केट्स में कहां अपॉर्चुनिटीज लाई करती हैं विच आर टेलिंग के कम ग्रैब अस, जिसको आमतौर से प्रोफेशनल स्टूडेंट्स, इवन अकाउंटेंट्स सही तरीके से ग्रैब नहीं कर पाए? व्हाट्स योर इनसाइट सेइंग?
Thank you very much, Bakr, for this very, very pertinent question. So I would like to obviously thank ACC for obviously engaging us as making us part of this esteemed event and webinar. So your question obviously is very, very pertinent. So we've seen that there has been a partial, perhaps even perhaps a more significant meltdown in the economic system right now. So obviously we're seeing that there is a very, very significant commodity spike, and we are seeing inflation going off the roof. And this is not just local, this phenomena. So just for the audience, so that everybody draws a little comfort, this is international phenomena. So obviously in Pakistan, everybody is pretty much juggling through as to how to kind of face through this in this entire period. But the silver lining obviously is to, in Pakistan, what has happened over the last 2 to 3 years, we've seen this new asset vertical which is developed, and I think probably this entire audience, which is obviously glued in to this webinar, they are more close to this particular vertical just because of the age bracket, I believe. And so we've seen that Pakistan has become somewhat a hotbed in terms of the new startup space. We are seeing that we are seeing this serious transformation where obviously Pakistan is at the cusp of this serious transformation, and we're seeing that there is serious liquidity that is being raised under this umbrella of startup space. So just to kind of give you some numbers, in 2020 this space like clocked in like close to $65 million, and last year 2021 this did close to $350 million. And as we speak this morning, there was this company called Lasagir, which raised close to $37 million as part of the Series A. So so this is I believe that it is just the start of a journey which I believe is going to be a defining journey for Pakistan economic system. So we are seeing that, and this is not something that has happened like overnight. There has been a lot of work which has happened. Pakistan carries a very, very strong, favorable demographic in terms of the population play, and in terms of the unbanked population, and a lot of infrastructure connectivity which is in place right now in terms of the cellular subscribers, in terms of the Wi-Fi connectivity in place, and also the digital payment platforms which are now getting connected to the overall system. That is also kind of contributed towards this particular sector being picking up. So I would also like to laud here in terms of the kind of work which has been done by the regulator, especially State Bank of Pakistan and SCCP, both of them, because a lot of the engagements doesn't really highlight their efforts. So I believe just to kind of highlight one instance, that State Bank of Pakistan has put in place the EMI framework, which has obviously allowed a lot of these FinTech companies to kind of crop up. So SCCP, on the other hand, in terms of, just to give you a minor example here, so they have worked on the definition bit in terms of obviously doing away with ambiguity, like small things like corporate entities. That's how the space is like picking up. So I myself, and perhaps many other people in my fraternity, we haven't really heard concepts like incubation center, TSOs, which is enterprise support organization, and then there's incubation centers, accelerator programs, co-working spaces. These are now new terminologies which are obviously developed. So from my perspective, I think probably what Bakar has pointed out, this is a new asset class which is developed. So for the audience to kind of obviously hit a home run, I believe you have to watch out in terms of investing in these particular vehicles. But obviously, it's easier said than done, because it's not very easy to kind of track the growth and perhaps the potential of all these startups, because obviously only few startups kind of perform vis-a-vis, and there are others like obviously they phase out in the process.
ठीक है, आई थिंक बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग इनसाइट. लेट मी समराइज हमारी ऑडियंस के लिए कि खुर्रम ने जो रिच माइंडसेट है ना, उसमें सबसे जो टॉप पे जो फील्ड है वो है एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप. वो उसको एसेट क्लास के तौर पे आपको पेश किया. सो अगर आप यंग प्रोफेशनल है, अकाउंटिंग प्रोफेशनल है और आप रिच माइंडसेट से बिलोंग करते हैं, जो कि हम इन्वेस्टर्स लाउंज पे अपने कोर्सेज में भी आपको सिखाते हैं, तो एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप या अपना कारोबार करना या अपनी एक स्किल डेवलप करके उसका एक बिजनेस में ट्रांसफॉर्म करना, पाकिस्तान में उसको फरोग देने के लिए बहुत से इदारे आ गए हैं सामने. अगर आप इंक्यूबेशन सेंटर्स की बात की, एक्सेलरेशन प्रोग्राम्स की बात की, आपको ऑफिस स्पेस फ्री में मिल जाता है, आपको इन्वेस्टर नेटवर्क फ्री में मिल जाता है, आपको इंटरनेट क्लाउड कंप्यूटिंग फ्री में मिल जाती है, आपको बिजनेस सपोर्ट सिस्टम्स फ्री में मिल जाते हैं. तो ये जो एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप जिसको आप पहले समझते थे कि माँ बाप कभी बोलते थे ना कि छोड़ो काम वाम तुम्हारे बस की बात नहीं है, तुम जाके जॉब करो, तो वो जो ट्रेंड है वो अब चेंज हो रहा है. तो जितने यंग प्रोफेशनल्स अकाउंटेंट बैठे हुए हैं और वो अपना फ्यूचर पाथ देख रहे हैं, आप किसी कंपनी में काम कीजिए, एक स्किल सेट को मास्टर कीजिए और उस स्किल सेट पे देखिए वेदर यू कैन स्टार्ट अ बिजनेस मॉडल एंड क्रिएट अ बिजनेस मॉडल अराउंड इट, और छोटे छोटे एक्सपेरिमेंट करें एंड एंटर इनटू एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप. तो ये रिच माइंडसेट का एक कोर कंपोनेंट है. रिच माइंडसेट में एक और कोर कंपोनेंट है, दैट इज रियल एस्टेट इन्वेस्टिंग, एंड दैट ब्रिंग्स मी टू Mavish. Mavish, what are you doing? Because we want to understand कि alternative investments या दूसरी alternative investment avenues को आप किस तरह देखती है? What you are doing? Just give us some insight.
Thank you so much, Bakar. The question has definitely taken me by surprise, because in terms of alternative business investment class, real estate through formal financing, उसको attention शायद COVID के time से मिलना शुरू हुई, and especially in context of kicking up construction related activities, and especially in terms of documenting and bringing a lot of money into the documentation loop of the economy, because यहाँ पर a lot of money exchanges hands. मैं इसमें एक और भी segment touch करना चाहूँगी, which is the low cost developer and low cost housing schemes, which is something that an economy like ours, while probably governments cannot afford to subsidize, but that's the need of the hour for us as well. Two things in that. Look, construction sector right now is with its construction magnates, it's a highly disorganized sector. Even when the financial sector started looking at it with an intent to start funding it, there were so many gaps in terms of the information it could present, and in terms of how they could organize it to present it to their internal credit committees for approvals. That वो चीज उसमें contractor would say that इससे ज़्यादा आसान है कि मैं सबसे जमा करूँ पैसे from my future investors. I build my story up, and then I just sort of exit from that investment and I make a lot more money. So in some way, I think that's also, I feel, a big market failure on our part. Somewhere we've not been able to support our construction industry, and a lot can go into it, and I feel that the more efforts that can be made to organize that sector a bit, I think that's also another career potential entrance, not just for investors, but also for, as you said, future graduate. And obviously, the more organized that you get, there are outfits like Zameen.pk who are, who've done it, who've set up a good example of how it's done. And specifically, अगर आप इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की बात करते हैं, we are here to support low-cost housing and low-cost developer financing. Similarly, there are institutions like PMRC, IFC, they're all behind. I think उनके priority areas में fall करता है developer financing and construction industry. So yes, future graduates or new entrants. This is also another field to watch out for, not just as an investment class, but also as a growth class and as a career opportunity. And just to add one more comment to what Khurram also very rightly pointed out about startups, I think startups ने seed and series A बहुत सारे startups अब हमारे कर चुके हैं. From what I hear in terms of the conversation in the VC world, now the next wave is scaling up, and scaling up may you will need a deluge of hiring, and if you have that right skill set, so well, do sit with those investors and find out what's the future skill set needed, because from what I hear, there is a gap in terms of what our universities are breeding and in terms of what our graduates can offer to the startups for their scaling up efforts.
I think very interesting point. So now, Nazreen, हमने ये दो important point cover किए हैं. एक तो if you belong to a rich mindset, आप rich लोगों की तरह सोचते हैं, तो आप अपना कारोबार करते हैं या फिर आप रियल एस्टेट में इन्वेस्टिंग करते हैं. Why रियल एस्टेट में हिस्टोरिकली इन्वेस्टमेंट काफी आई है, उसका रीजन भी हाईलाइट किया है. फॉर्मल सेक्टर है, बहुत ज्यादा पैसा इसके अंदर आ रहा है, एंड देन डाउन साइड इसकी वॉलेटिलिटी बहुत कम होती है, डाउन साइड पे बहुत कम जाता है, अपसाइड कंसिस्टेंट रहता है. So from the if you compare that to other asset classes, जो historically अगर आप she rightly highlighted zameen.com का अगर प्लॉट इंडेक्स देख लें, लेट्स से 2010 से 2021 और 22 तक ले जाएं और मंथली इंडेक्स की केएससी 100 इंडेक्स की और प्लॉट इंडेक्स की वैल्यू प्लॉट करें, तो आप देखेंगे कि इवन इन द डाउन टर्न्स, so real estate investment did not go down, it became stale, stagnant. Especially जो growth real estate है वो stagnant हो गई, and then started moving up again when the economy recovered और GDP growth rate या economic cycle बेहतर हुआ. But अगर आप rich mindset से belong करते हैं और आपके पास पैसे नहीं है और आप कारोबार भी नहीं करते, तो क्या करना चाहिए? That brings us to the third question. कि जो rich mindset से लोग belong करते हैं, as we define in Investors Lounge courses, वो skill set improve करते हैं. So there are highly qualified professionals in the world जो कि अपने स्किल सेट पे इन्वेस्ट करते हैं. ACCA accountancy की education is one of the great skill sets that you have, and the reason why we are holding this webinar is कि ACCA आपको दूसरे alternative skill set सिखाने में मदद करता है जो कि नई एज की रिक्वायरमेंट्स पूरी करते हैं. So Asad, what's your feedback on that? Because you've recently started like bringing us in, bringing other प्राइवेट कंपनीज इन, और वो स्किल सेट में अपने स्टूडेंट्स को मास्टर करा रहे हैं या उनको इंट्रोड्यूस करा रहे हैं जो कि नई एज के स्किल सेट है. व्हाट्स योर टेक ऑन दैट?
Thank you, Ahmad Bakir, and I think it was wonderful listening to Mahvish and Khurram. देखिए, जो आपने अभी specific conversation pick up की around the skill sets, I think skill sets के so there are three sets that we generally talk about. First is the mindset, whether you have the mindset to acquire new skill sets and whether you have the flexibility to adopt the new tool sets. So आपके पास mindset है, आपके पास skills हैं, फिर आपके पास tools available. So what ACCA does is that it helps you, obviously, you see, within the accounting and finance arena and anything which is related to it, open your thought process, not just purely from the conventional accounting and finance perspective, but also how to be that strategically thinking business partner in terms of supporting your other areas जो कि conventionally finance से linked नहीं है. So let's say strategy, we talk about planning, we are talking about investments over here. We are talking about, you see, finance business partners helping with your operations. So there is a wide array of responsibilities available to finance and accounting professionals. So अगर मैं आपकी skill set के perspective से बात करूँ, so ACCA has, you see, over the years evolved many firsts, not just within the accounting profession, but within the education sector itself. So हमारा एक career navigator है. It talks about कि आपकी capabilities of the future क्या हैं, how those capabilities are mapped with the jobs or roles of the future. Future में the use of technology is going to create jobs which are new, which we are not even aware of, but that does not mean that you will be irrelevant. Why? Because we have to continuously evolve one of the very few things that people, you see, generally don't understand about accounting and finance professional organizations is the ability to continuously learn and do continuous professional development. आप हर जगह से ग्रेजुएट करते हैं, so you become an alumni, but to continue to be a member of ACCA, every year you have to do verifiable and unverifiable professional development hours, and only then you continue to be a member. मैं अगर एक स्टेप पीछे लूँ आपके इस सवाल पे, and I just link it with the questions probably that you picked up with Mavish and Khurram. I think हमारे पास young audience है, we have professionals, we have aspiring professionals as well. Some may be in the later stage of their journey, some may be at the starting stage of their journey. So it's all about developing the framework. हमने एसेट क्लासेस का जिक्र किया, हमने अप्रोच टुवर्ड्स इन्वेस्टमेंट की बात की, बट यू सी व्हाट वी नीड टू probably understand from an investment perspective is कि हमारे फ्रेमवर्क में हमारा रिस्क एपेटाइट, क्या हमने अपने आप को रिस्क प्रोफाइल कर लिया कि मैं हाई रिस्क इन्वेस्टमेंट कर सकता हूँ, मैं मॉडरेट रिस्क इन्वेस्टमेंट कर सकता हूँ, या मुझे लो रिस्क में जाना चाहिए, मुझे अपनी एज प्रोफाइल का पता है, क्या मैं सुनी सुनाई बात पे इन्वेस्ट करता हूँ या मेरे पास प्रॉपर रिसर्च है, चाहे मैंने खुद की हो या किसी रिसर्च को यूज किया हो. And last but not the least, I think there are a lot of times when we tend to, you see, put all our eggs in one basket. So हम diversification की बात भी करते हैं. So I have been the part of an asset management firm in the past. So diversification, you see, managing your concentration risk, or concentration would be, you see, per script, could be the sector that you are investing in. At the same time, the asset class that you may be earning in. So इसलिए आपको understand करना चाहिए कि हर asset class के लिए requirements क्या हैं अगर आप invest करें. So probably that is an area where I would encourage everyone कि आप जहाँ पे private equity, venture capital investment, startups, real estate की बात कर रहे हैं, so आप उन asset classes को जरूर study करें जो आपके पास regulated markets like the stock exchanges, like your debt and treasury markets, आप उसको जरूर study करके उनकी duration को देखें, उनकी nuances को understand करें. फिर you see there are different types of product, Sharia, non-Sharia. अभी हमने real estate की बात की कि how that buffers probably versus the capital markets which may appear volatile, but there was a research that I was a part of about 10 years or back, and we did a research from 1947, and we found out that capital markets return per 100 rupees were far greater than any other asset class, including real estate itself. But again, you see, that's the bigger picture, the end result. So आपने कितने अच्छे तरीके से समझा अपनी requirements को, you're not driven by the sentiment of the index, you understand the sector that you're investing in, you understand the company that you're investing in, you understand the different products, whether they are mutual funds, whether they are real estate investment trusts, whether they are government bonds, whether they are treasury bills, whether they are simple plain vanilla term deposits or bank accounts. Thank you.
I think बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग डिस्कशन हुई. हमने रिच माइंडसेट से बिल्डअप किया. तो इफ यू बिलोंग टू अ रिच माइंडसेट, आप रियल एस्टेट प्रेफर करते हैं, आप अपना कारोबार करना प्रेफर करते हैं, एंड आप अपना टाइम और पैसा स्किल डेवलपमेंट में लगाते हैं. सो ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम यू बिल्ड अप अ गुड एसेट मूविंग फॉरवर्ड. बट द क्वेश्चन इज कि चले आपने इनमें से किसी एक एसेट क्लास के अंदर अपना टाइम और पैसा लगा लिया, लेट्स से स्किल डेवलप कर ली, यू बिकम अ क्वालिफाइड प्रोफेशनल, आपकी इनकम आ गई और आपकी इनकम जो है वो एक्सपेंडिचर से ज्यादा है, बहुत ज्यादा, तो यू एंड अप विद सम सेविंग्स. तो अब बॉइल डाउन होते हैं सेकंड इंपॉर्टेंट सेक्शन के अंदर, जो कि हाई ग्रोथ माइंडसेट, जहां पे आके बहुत से प्रोफेशनल्स, हमारे बहुत से स्टूडेंट्स, यंग प्रोफेशनल्स, इवन सीजन प्रोफेशनल्स, इवन इफ दे आर वर्किंग फॉर फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशन, यहाँ आगे प्रॉब्लम आ जाती है कि आप पैसा ज्यादा कमा लेते हैं, बट द प्रॉब्लम इज कि आप उसको हाई ग्रोथ माइंडसेट के थ्रू इन्वेस्ट नहीं करते, आप स्ट्रगलर या पुअर माइंडसेट के थ्रू इन्वेस्ट करते हैं. So high growth mindset पे खुरम, the question from you is, you belong to equity market, equity raising का काफी experience है आपका. High growth mindset में stocks, systematic investment plan over the long term, जिस तरह असद ने बात भी की कि अपनी risk profiling को समझते हुए long term में तवील मुद्दती सरमायाकारी करना और continuously rupee cost averaging करना. ये जो तीन अल्फाज मैंने बोले हैं, अगर ये तीन अल्फाज हमारी कौम अपना ले, हमारे प्रोफेशनल अपना ले, यंगस्टर्स अपना ले, तो बहुत से नुकसान से बच जाएं. क्या ही होता कि ये तीन इंपॉर्टेंट चीजें हमारी फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशंस इनग्रेन कर दें इन्वेस्टर्स के अंदर या प्रोफेशनल्स के अंदर. व्हाट इज योर व्यू ऑन दैट? बिकॉज आपने देखा साइकिल्स के थ्रू गुजरे, आप जब हम पिच करते हैं स्टॉक्स को या इक्विटीज को, तो हम 25 साल का, जिस तरह असद ने बताया भी 1947 से एक चार्ट ड्रॉ करते हैं एंड बोलते हैं दिस इज द बेस्ट एसेट क्लास. So the same investor comes in next year and says like, my account was wiped out. So but still it remains the best asset class because वो उस तरीके से इन्वेस्ट करने का प्लान नहीं कर पाते. What is your take on that? What is missing there?
Thank you, Parker. So I think it kind of takes me back. I was reading an article on Jeff Bezos, and he was like in the 1990s when he started Amazon. It was basically he decided that one of the verticals which was growing exponentially at that time was internet. So essentially, when he kind of started with Amazon, he decided that it has to be in this vertical only for him to kind of ride that wave. So taking that example and taking that clue, I think probably the audience needs to understand that thematically Pakistan is obviously going through that transformation. So all your investments, whoever you are, irrespective of the verticals, it has to be technologically driven. We are past that stage wherein your orthodox business models are going to work. We've seen that we've seen that Kodak has disappeared. We've seen that Nokia is no more. So essentially, these are some of the classical examples wherein these businesses who have kind of ruled the capitalist world over the last 100 years. And they have completely been wiped out because they haven't really spent a lot of capital on the R&D side. So just to kind of give you some numbers as to how this Pakistan landscape is shaping, so that you can perhaps hone in terms of how to kind of shape up your portfolio. So just to give you answer, because we've got some food, I'm sure everybody Pakistani, we're like food enthusiasts. So we've kind of ordered like close to $400 million worth of food through internet last year. And I'm sure that's why we see like Food Panda rider on the run every time we like walk out of our respective houses. So and like close to 22 million people have ordered food through online. That is close to 10%. So even I'm actually in like shock in terms of reading these numbers, how glued we are as far as Pakistan is concerned. We generally consider Pakistan as somewhat disconnected, but I believe these numbers are speaking even louder. So this is just the start, and that's why all these startups are like getting excited in terms of coming to Pakistan. In terms of the consumer, the money Pakistanis have spent over consumer goods, we've spent close to $7.5 billion worth of equipment that has been purchased through internet. So that is colossal. So the people, we've seen that all these seeds. So when I say that this startup space is to be watched out, because my thematic is that all these investors are very, very serious investors. Pakistan has kind of seen blips of investment over the last few years as well, but obviously that phase is gone. Now this is combined with sequential follow-up by capital investments, and we're seeing all these investors, they're very credible investors. So obviously they're now looking at Pakistan becoming that hotbed of the new startup space. So I believe whatever you pick in terms of your investing choice, it has to be technologically driven. As far as stock market is concerned, it's obviously going through a little bit of doldrum, but obviously it is giving you a fantastic valuation as we speak. PSX 100 index is like trading close to 4 times price to earning, which is perhaps one of the cheapest in the region right now. So if everything goes well in terms of once the macro stabilizes, macro variable stabilizes, we can see this rebound in the equity market, very, very steep, strong rebound in the equity market. And also kind of obviously take this opportunity to kind of tell you one of the product which has lately been developed. It is developed under the name of GEM, which is called Growing Emerging Board. It is a product being launched by PSX, Pakistan Stock Exchange. And the essential thematic of this product is that companies which do not have the sophistication in terms of meeting the stringent requirement of the main board, they can opt for this board for a slightly muted fundraise. when we say muted fundraise, we've seen companies have raised close to $200 million, and even we've seen like close to $500 million worth of capital raise, which has happened lately. So 3 companies have got listed on the PSX, GEM board as we speak. But obviously, this board is also going through a refinement process. A lot needs to be done because obviously we've seen that there is a lackluster kind of performance in terms of the liquidity that is being generated. So hence there is no price discovery, but obviously the regulator is very closely watching, and so are the market participants. Hopefully we expect that this is going to course correct going forward.
Khurram, you know very well the problem with low price to earning multiple and high dividend yield is, in a declining market, high dividend yield will become even higher and low PE will even become lower. So from the investors perspective, the issue is, जितने young professionals हमारे program देख रहे हैं, उनका issue ये है कि वो mindset नहीं होता कि रुपी कॉस्ट एवरेजिंग को तैयार हो जाएं और अपना टाइम स्पेंड बढ़ा दें ताकि वॉलेटिलिटी का फायदा उठाएं, रादर वॉलेटिलिटी से लेवल 1 के इन्वेस्टर बन के इमोशनल होके नीचे बेच के ना निकल जाए. सो हाफ ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम अराइज, एंड देन उसके ऊपर वो कहते हैं ना कि सोने पे सुहागा ये होता है कि आप मार्जिन लेके 4 टाइम्स इन्वेस्टमेंट कर दें. सो 25% drawdown and your account is wiped out. A lot of mistakes. We did a lot of mistakes in our early career. So don't you think, just a quick thought that I'll go to Mavish. Quickly.
So this is absolutely one of the I think you've highlighted a very important point in terms of time horizon for this investment. So I think people who are looking to invest, I think they should invest with a perspective of investing at least for 12 to 18 months time horizon, because we're expecting reversals of the interest rate environment, obviously the macros to settle down and the commodity prices to come down. So this will hopefully normalize the business cycle over the course of next 12 to 18 months.
Sure. Mavish, हमने देखा है कि खवातीन बहुत ज्यादा अब actively invest कर रही हैं. So we have seen over the past 4 to 5 years, women, mashallah, have are dominating every profession now. You yourself being an example, your company CEO is being an example. Mufaf is being headed by a woman, and then we see Pakistan Stock Exchange being headed by a woman as chairman. Then we see Pasha was being headed by a woman, Jahara. So a lot of women are coming into investing space as well and financial management as well. What are your insights? Why should women actually actively invest or systematically invest in financial markets?
Well, to begin with, a woman's money is as fungible or as important to grow as a man's money, right? So money is money. Well, who it belongs to does not really matter. So the need to preserve your capital, and grow your capital is regardless of gender. But importantly, Bakar, as we are going towards a more empowered generation, Aapki Gen Z and Millennial, I don't even think that they identify themselves as men and women. They just identify themselves as individuals. And to the future Gen Z and Millennial workforce, what I would say is that I think what is the most important message is, when you get the money, when you get your salary, or when you get your profit out of your entrepreneurship venture, whatever it is, please make an investment policy statement. No matter how boring and how elderly this sounds, you need to have your investment policy statement, and you need to have your objectives put down for yourself. कि मैं आज से 5 साल में क्या देखना चाहता हूँ, आज से 10 साल में what would I like my money to see me do, and then invest accordingly. Personally speaking, I feel that the more now let's talk about women who are less empowered also, because we belong to a nation jahan majority of women workforce is not part of organized workforce. In fact, wo financial inclusion ka bhi part nahi hai. And I feel that a lot of stats coming from India, coming from Bangladesh, tell you that the more financial inclusion of women and marginalized communities aap karenge, utna hi aapki economy grow karegi, because that just breeds more financial awareness. It brings more money into the system, and it also leads to more number of transactions. Is waqt aap jo hai wo 80% market aap capture hi nahi karte. 25% penetration in a market like Pakistan. Can you imagine, like, the bulk of population sitting without being included into the mainstream financing business. So I would say that this is not just for the sophisticated or educated lot, it is about all working classes who need to be captured into this group. And women coming from the marginalized side, I think they are moms, they are running families, they are एक बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग स्टैट थी IFC की कि टाइम पॉवर्टी की भी वो बात करते हैं। औरतें टिपिकली सबसे ज्यादा ट्रैवल करती हैं, कम्यूटिंग में उनका सारा वक्त गुजर जाता है, पानी भरने के लिए जाती हैं, वो रास्ते में सारा वक्त गुजर जाता है, किड्स की अपब्रिंगिंग, होम मेकिंग, ये सब चीजें उनको टाइम पॉवर्टी पे भी लीड करती हैं। इट्स अ बिग workforce, unutilized workforce that you can utilize also. And similarly, औरतें inevitably, उनके पास जो घर में अगर बैठ के भी अगर earning avenues हैं, तो they don't have access to, smooth supply of power, smooth supply of other resources, internet access. So आज इतने सारे businesses जो हैं वो tech businesses हैं, घर से कर SME size के businesses औरतें run कर रही हैं, home based businesses run कर रही हैं. So I think women should definitely know how to invest. Women should definitely know how to access various avenues of savings and investment growth.
Very well highlighted, Mavish. Now we coming towards the last session of this show. Before I move on to Asad, मैं आपको summarize कर दूं जो key concepts हमने discuss किए. One, we discussed rich mindset में भी plugged in entrepreneurship. खुरम talked about entrepreneurship. ये वक्त है आपका कि आप सोचें अपना छोटा सा काम स्टार्ट करने के बारे में, एक्सपेरिमेंट करें, छोटे एक्सपेरिमेंट करें और फेल हो, और जितना फेल होंगे उतना अच्छा, उतना सीखेंगे, उतना डेटा कलेक्ट होगा। देन उसके साथ साथ रियल एस्टेट कन्वेंशनली एक अच्छी एसेट क्लास रही है, अभी भी एक अच्छी एसेट क्लास रहेगी, एवेन्यूज बढ़ेंगे, फाइनेंसिंग आएगी। एससीसीपी ने जिस तरह खुरम ने भी इशारा किया, मैविश को भी पता है, अभी रियल एस्टेट फ्रैक्शनलाइजेशन के रेगुलेशंस आ रहे हैं, गाइडलाइंस आ गई हैं। सो अ लॉट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी विल कम इनटू रियल एस्टेट एज वेल, और रियल एस्टेट आम आदमी के लिए एक्सेसिबल हो जाएगी। सो इट विल बिकम अ हाई यील्डिंग एसेट क्लास, accessible in small fractions to common investor as well. And then the third, असद हाईलाइटेड कि आपको स्किल डेवलप करनी है, अकाउंटिंग की करें, उसके साथ नए प्रोफेशंस में जाएं। तो इफ यू डू ऑल दीज थ्री थिंग्स, यू बिलोंग टू रिच माइंडसेट। देन जो पैसा है आपका, अगर आप हाई ग्रोथ माइंडसेट से हैं, बिलोंग करते हैं, तो आप वो पैसा फ्लो इन करेंगे लॉन्ग टर्म सिस्टमैटिक इन्वेस्टमेंट में। जिस तरह खुरम ने इशारा भी किया कि स्टॉक में यू इन्वेस्ट एंड कंटिन्यूअली इन्वेस्ट ओवर एटलीस्ट आप 18 से 20 महीने का टाइमलाइन बनाए, ताकि आप हर दिन मार्केट को देख के घबराए नहीं, अपना दिल पकड़ के ना बैठ जाए। तो लॉन्ग टर्म में जितना इन्वेस्ट करेंगे आप और जितना सिस्टमैटिक इन्वेस्ट करेंगे, रुपी कॉस्ट एवरेजिंग करेंगे, उतना आपके लिए फायदा है। बिकॉज व्हेन यू इन्वेस्ट ऑन शॉर्ट टर्म, उसकी एक साइंस ही अलग है, वो टेक्स मोर टाइम, मोर स्किल्स, एंड देन यू आल्सो बिकम ट्रैप्ड बाय द इमोशंस एज वेल, और लेवल 1 थिंकिंग आपको आ जाती है। नाउ बिफोर आई मूव ऑन टू असद, जो उसके साथ दो इंपॉर्टेंट माइंडसेट है जिसमें मोस्ट ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन फंसी हुई है, वो है स्ट्रगलिंग माइंडसेट एंड पुअर माइंडसेट। So the struggling mindset है जिसपे आप समझते हैं आपने सेव कर लिया है अपना पैसा, और लेकिन आप रियल टर्म्स में you are getting poor, so you keep on struggling with different asset classes, और आप poor होते जाते हैं over the time, but you feel that you are doing good. Then the poor mindset, where you actually borrow at a very high rate, become try to afford luxuries, वो चीजें afford करने की कोशिश करते हैं जो आपकी accessibility में नहीं है, just because you are availing the borrowing tools जो कि आपके लिए accessible हो गए। So स्ट्रगलिंग माइंडसेट और पुअर माइंडसेट से बाहर निकलना है आपको, रिच माइंडसेट को टारगेट करना है, और जो पैसा वहां से कमाए उसको हाई ग्रोथ माइंडसेट वाले एवेन्यूज पे लगाना है। सो मोर ऑन दैट आप हमारे कोर्स पे, इन्वेस्टर्स लाउंज के कोर्स पे जाके उसको डिटेल में इनके बारे में फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट ऑन स्कॉलरशिप आप इसको रिव्यू कर सकते हैं। अच्छा, टुवर्ड्स द एंड द क्वेश्चन इज कि जो स्किल डेवलपमेंट है अकाउंटेंट्स के लिए खास तौर पे, और ऑटोमेशन काफी आ रही है अकाउंटिंग प्रोफेशन में, फाइनेंस के अंदर, इन्वेस्टमेंट मैनेजमेंट के अंदर, रोबो एडवाइजरी के लाइसेंस अभी एससीपी ने अप्रूव किए, और बाय द वे वी वर द फर्स्ट कंपनी हु टेस्टेड रोबो एडवाइजरी टेक्नोलॉजी विद एससीपी सैंडबॉक्स। तो अ लॉट ऑफ द डेवलपमेंट्स आर हैपनिंग हियर। How do you see the future of accounting and finance? So your question, and then we'll move on to the question and answer. अपने सवालात भी नाज़रीन पोस्ट कर दें so that we can start responding to that. जी सर।
Thank you, Bakir. So the future of banking, the accounting and finance is as promising and as lucrative as any other profession. You see, the basic skills are not changing. It is just the tools that are being deployed that are changing. it's our ability to deploy and use those tools. So if you talked about robo advisory, हम accounting and finance की terms में machine learning, artificial intelligence, data sciences, data analytics, robotic process automation, इन सारी चीजों पे जब focus करते हैं तो हमें ये नजर आता है कि they increase the efficiency, not just of the finance function, the finance professional, but of the organization itself. So what is it essentially doing? It is helping you spare up some time to do other stuff. Going forward, बहुत major conversation है कि जी finance and accounting professional strategic business leaders हैं, वो chief value officers हैं, वो chief data scientists हैं, वो chief growth officers हैं. So all these taglines just refer to one particular thing, and that is what sort of value you create for your organization through your skills. So अभी हमने digitization की बात की, digital transformation की बात की. All organizations are undergoing through that, and trust me, every organization that has gone through that is creating new jobs. I may be redundant or at risk in terms of my current skill set, but if I'm willing to evolve, if I'm willing to continuously learn, if I'm willing to unlearn and adopt these new skills in the context of new technologies, then I would always remain relevant. एक चीज मैं इस पे अगर आपको ऐड करता चलूं, देखिए everything that we do, so ACCA has this vision that we want to be, we seen to be leading in developing the accounting profession. We are a force for public good, creating opportunity everywhere, and reducing any sort of artificial barrier. So just coming back to this, एक बड़ा important concept है investment का जो going forward बहुत actively और proactively आपको सुनने में आएगा, and that is around environmental, social and governance. So हमारे पास एक ESG बड़ी strong theme develop हो रही है investments के अंदर. So जो भी आपका business ESG driven है, ESG matrices या ESG benchmarks को meet कर रहा होगा, उसकी viability, उसकी sustainability would be greater than possibly those businesses and corporates, you see, even from an individual's investment perspective, जो कि इन benchmarks को view नहीं कर रहे होंगे. Going forward, नए comments, नए themes develop हो रही हैं, नए types of instruments आ रहे हैं. आपके पास clean green investments, अभी हम green financing की बात करते हैं, green bonds का concept आया है. आपके पास कल को green stocks भी होंगे, आपके पास ESG compliant stocks होंगे. ESG आपके लिए क्या करता है? देखिए, just like Shariah-Compliance, it has a certain benchmark which tells you that what is the sustainability focus of this organization, how they view the non-financial capital aspects of information and translate that into financial information. So सिर्फ आप इस पे बात नहीं कर रहे कि मेरी कंपनी ने क्या कमाया, मेरी कंपनी स्पेंड क्या कर रही है, मेरी कंपनी की इन्वेंट्री की वैल्यू क्या है, मेरी कंपनी का रॉ मटेरियल क्या कॉस्ट कर रहा है. मैं ये भी बात कर रहा हूँ कि वो सारी चीजें जो कि नॉन फाइनेंशियल हैं बट हैव अ कैपिटल एलिमेंट टू इट, उसका इम्पैक्ट मेरे बिजनेस पे क्या है. कल मेरे पास आज की तारीख में मैं क्या नेट जो आपकी ये जो कार्बन एमिशंस हैं, क्या मेरे नेट जीरो एम्बिशंस हैं गोइंग फॉरवर्ड, मैं क्या एनवायरनमेंट फ्रेंडली हूँ. और अभी जेनजी की बात महविश ने बहुत अच्छे तरीके से पे की. सो जो आपका जो यंगर जनरेशन है, दे आर वेरी क्लियर, दे आर वेरी ऑब्जेक्टिव. They want to contribute not just to their own lives, but they want to contribute to the organizations they work in, the community that they work in, and they feel that it is their right to discuss agendas which our generation felt was not within, let's say, our intellectual or pay scales, or was not our sphere of influence. So please, I think for all young and accomplished and experienced professionals watching and viewing this conversation, ESG is the future. आप उसको जरूर study करें. ACCA has built that into a course. There are multiple certificates out there being offered, not just by ACCA, but so many other professional providers. Last but not the least, it has a great impact on our economy. हम जितनी भी बातें कर रही हैं, ये in the context of Pakistan's economy है. So अगर आपको एक सस्टेनेबल और इंक्लूसिव इकोनॉमी चाहिए, so आपको इन बेंचमार्क्स को ज़हन में रखना पड़ेगा. Why? Because these are derived not just from probably an investor's expectation, but दुनिया में एक कॉन्सेप्ट है सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स का, SDGs, और वो यूनाइटेड नेशंस ने 17 गोल्स इशू या पब्लिश किए हैं. हर मुल्क, हर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन किसी ना किसी फॉर्म में उसको कमिटमेंट कर रही है. ACCA has a stated commitment to 9 out of those 17 SDGs, and there is a very clear convergence towards sustainability, towards longevity, towards long-term value creation, towards climate friendliness, towards towards deterring anything which has a negative climate impact. Very strong focus on governance. आज की तारीख में जहाँ पे भी स्टॉक मार्केट, जहाँ पे भी इन्वेस्टमेंट्स का वर्ड आता है, सो गवर्नेंस एंड एथिक्स गो हैंड इन हैंड. तो आप कितनी एथिकल प्रैक्टिसेस में इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं. सो एक एज ओल्ड मेथोडोलॉजी होती थी स्टेट बैंक ऑफ पाकिस्तान की व्हेन दे यूज्ड टू कंडक्ट देयर inspections, and it used to be called camels. So it used to be called the camels methodology. Camels में C is for capital, A is for asset quality, M is for management soundness, E was for if I remember correctly, equity, L was for liquidity, and S was for solvency. So management soundness again has to be a key consideration. आप किसी भी जगह invest करें, real estate project, startup, venture capital, as a, let's say, a high net worth investor or a qualified investor, as an equity investor, as a debt investor, हमेशा इस चीज को जरूर focus कीजिएगा. So I know there was a slightly longer answer, but I felt that it would really give an umbrella view to our viewers, especially from the professional and personal investment space. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much on that. We conclude. Yes, ma'am.
In fact, अगर आपकी इजाजत हो, I just want to add one more thing, especially from the ESG perspective, जो असद ने भी अभी बात mentioned. It's something very close to the space from where I come from, Infrazamin. हमारी core ethos का बहुत part है, and I don't want to speak a lot about what we do, but what I just want to allude to here is कि देखिए इस वक्त हम जो इकोनॉमिक स्ट्रगल से गुजर रहे हैं, सबसे बड़ा जो हमारे लिए इस वक्त स्ट्रगल है, एक तो on a macro economic level is to make sure कि करंट अकाउंट बैलेंस हो जाए, आपको एक जो डॉलर एड चाहिए वो आपको डॉलर लोन मिल जाए. बट इवन ऑन द लोकल साइड जहाँ पर भी आप कैपिटल एक्टिविटीज की बात करते हैं, you end up needing foreign currency. You have to import a plant and machinery जो पाकिस्तान में नहीं बनता है. कई जगहों पे आप import substitution कर रहे हैं, export कर रहे हैं चीजें. I think for all those proposed capital projects, ESG की compliance बड़ी या ESG enabled project बना के, I think you end up attracting some really precious impact investment जो कि worldwide अब climate change projects पे, climate finance projects पे and impact investment projects पे ये funds they are waiting to be used. And पाकिस्तान के लिए एक ready opportunity है, पाकिस्तान के लिए एक थोड़ी सी tweaks के साथ कुछ अपने एक enabling environment, कुछ हमें अपनी mental adjustments करनी required है as investors and as as equity investors to set up such projects to attract impact investment, because there is plenty of that abroad which can come to Pakistan.
I think very good insights by Asad and Mahwish and Khurram. Thank you very much. Nazreen, आपने बड़ा insightful session देखा. इसमें again core point है, मैं आपको litmus test दे देता हूँ. We are risk averse. So if we are risk averse, the litmus test is कि any investment instruments for a low level or zero level of risk, any investment instrument, कोई भी investment सरमायाकारी का मौका जो आपको inflation से protect ना कर पाए, it is not a good instrument. So for you as an investor, पहला आपका objective ये होना चाहिए, आप young professional हैं और बिल्कुल risk नहीं लेना चाहते. So you need to focus on कि मैं वो investment avenues को target zoom in करूं जो कम से कम मुझे expected inflation से protect करने के करीब लेकर आ जाए. Forget about protecting, even करीब लेकर आ जाए. So that's a litmus test you need to move forward with. और मजीद आपको सीखने के लिए you can go through our courses that is free of cost. You can access that पूरी financial literacy mindset you can develop online. We're doing that in collaboration with ACCA. I think Alisha, if you can have questions, if there are any questions, I think they would love to explain that.
Thank you, Bakar, and respected panelists. So we'll start off with the questions. Mahwish, there's a question for you from Abrez. Hi, Mahwish, could you talk a bit more about how you expect inflation to hit the real estate market? Even though construction and development has been booming, given the rise in costs and fall in consumer discretionary income and the rise in interest rates, how do you expect that to impact aspiring real estate entrepreneurs? So Mavish, if you can answer this question, please.
Sure. So अब्रेज आपने जो है वो कुछ बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस जो हैं उसमें एक किए एंड आई विल ट्राई टू आंसर देम वन बाय वन. एक तो ये कि the rising inflation has a direct impact on all the input costs of construction, right? That goes without saying. And typically in construction वो सब pass through हो जाता है. You would observe कि जैसे ही cement, steel, all the input costs increase, fuel costs increase, your apartment price or your whatever the output of that construction is, it goes up. So I don't think that there is any worry about sort of holding back or sort of absorbing any of those inflation related costs on your own. But रहा सवाल कि आपका क्या end user उस चीज को afford कर सकता है कि नहीं? That's the real question. And that too, again, that's for me, it has always been an unfair game in terms of the way construction has been played, because construction or the real estate sector actually belongs to people who already have very, very exceptional buying power, and they do not need access to bank funding. They do not need access to any additional funds. They can just go, and they have enough strong buying power to go ahead and do that. For us, the real question is that जब आप construction for the purpose of welfare, for the purpose of common man's benefit, अगर आप ऐसी construction create करते हैं, how do we really make sure that the end user can actually access the output of that construction? And for that, Abrez, there are schemes. I think State Bank has very actively pushed banks against their also at some points they were not too happy about it. Banks have been pushed and encouraged, and they've been asked to put aside part of their advanced portfolio dedicated to these kind of lending activities, whether it is consumer or it is the developer financing side, but they are meant to now dedicate a percentage of their advanced portfolio to such lending. So that's one effort. And the other thing is giving the common man access to subsidized financing, which again State Bank is doing. State Bank had introduced their scheme, and up to 1 crore you can access subsidized financing for about 10 years to buy those houses. As for your last question, how do you access borrowing and then invest in real estate? दोस्त उसमें मैं ये बोलूंगी कि I think you're up against people who bring their own equity to this game. I think it's right now this game is not sort of structured for people who are borrowing to make more gains. So that will be a close call, but again that too can be structured because स्टेट बैंक ने उसके लिए भी बहुत सारा enabling environment, PMRC ने बहुत सारा enabling environment create किया for developers who do not exactly have deep pockets to put in all the equity on their own, or who do not have pre-bought end user units. So for those people, that access to financing is available, and it's something for you to come forward and tap. You just have to have a little bit of an organized and structured business case to present to the financier. And again, InfraZamin is also there to support in terms of our guarantees, but specifically in the low cost housing development finance area, that's where our intervention comes in. So I hope that answers your question.
I think Ali, you are on mute. Do we have more questions? Do we have more questions, Asad?
Feroz, Ali, can you hear us? Can we have more questions, please? Okay, so Not a problem. I think I can help you with that. It could be a connectivity issue. So there's a question that by Danish Bashir, can you suggest any mutual funds for investment? So if you allow me to respond to that it is an asset class. So the best advice that we can give, that there are a lot of comparative performance charts available on Mufab's website, so you can review those, see how the return, the timeline fits into your investment horizon, and accordingly decide. There is another, I think, platform available, which is a subsidiary of the Central Depository Company, which is an online distribution platform. So they also have, it's called Imlaq Financial. So you can also probably utilize the tools available over there to see what sort of investment history and performance history is available for you to take a decision like this. So coming on to our next question, just give me a minute, please. Yes, why PSX is a very sentimental market. We can see that it gets affected adversely or adversely by just one bad news. So why we have built it on sentiments. Khurram, Bakir, if you would like to respond to that.
Khurram, would you like to go first or should I?
Yeah. So obviously, I think yes. To whatever the question has been asked, I think yes, Pakistan is a sentiment-driven market, and I think that also highlights the fact that Pakistan is not very deep market. So when we say we track mature markets, so they are also affected somewhat by sentiments, but they are fundamentally driven. So obviously, Pakistan has to catch up in terms of developing that depth. So this is just a transition. So we will have to see that robust regulations have to develop. We will have to see the market cap going up to a sizable amount. We will have to see some sizable investors, multiple investors coming into play, so that they lead the way in terms of not being perturbed by whatever the sentiment of the country is. So now, for now, I think Pakistan, we see that a lot of HNWIs do a lot of trading, so they primarily dictate the mood of the market. So if there is a more institutional level investing, so we will for sure see that there is going to be a lot more stability.
Thank you, Khurram. So, and I should mention that it's a question that was posted by Saima Batul. So moving on to our next question, and I think, Mevish, if I can request you to respond, where is the FinTech market heading, especially for people who have a technological as well as accounting education background? It's a question by Abdul Wahab Bhatt.
Abdul Wahab, I would say that you know what, you have a world of opportunities waiting for you. From what I understand, State Bank is all set to give out a bunch of digital banking licenses. Okay, digital banks are digital divisions are already housed in all the large and significant banks, and they are very much a very integral part of how digital banks money moves around. But having said that, that's the large bank scenario, that's the digital bank scenario. Let's move down to the fintechs also. There are several kinds of fintechs, and they are trying to solve several kinds of problems. And I think you will find yourself spoiled for choices. All I would say is that I think in the coming months there will be a little bit of struggle. All the startups, particularly the fintech ones, are facing some deal of struggle, primarily because of lack of documentation, getting into the required throughput. So those struggles will be there, hence they are called startups. But well, it is exciting times, and there is a world of opportunities there.
Thank you very much, Mahesh. So we come to our next question, which is by Hasib Hassan. What are the steps that can be taken by government to ensure that financial markets are more accessible? So a question probably, Bakir, if you would like to respond.
श्योर। तो देखिए, गवर्नमेंट ने गुज़िश्ता 4-5 साल में अगर आप देखें SECP और स्टेट बैंक की रेगुलेशंस को, तो अपने तहत वो प्राइमरी जो रेगुलेटरी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर था वो बिछा दिया। एक बड़ा इशू था कैपिटल मार्केट्स की ग्रोथ में ऑनलाइन ऑनबोर्डिंग का, उसमें भी 2-3 इकदाम हो गए। अब ग्रेजुअली आप देखेंगे कि आगे चल के ये ऑनलाइन ऑनबोर्डिंग और आसान हो जाएगी, थोड़ा सा ट्रेडिंग इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बेहतर हो जाएगा। एक सिंगल अकाउंट से आप स्टॉक्स, म्यूचुअल फंड्स, कमोडिटीज और गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज बाय करने के काबिल हो जाएंगे। व्हेन यू आर एबल टू डू दैट एंड विद दैट यू हैव अ वेरी सिंप्लीफाइड ऐप, तो आपके लिए एक होस्ट ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटीज खुलने वाली हैं। इट हैज बीन स्लो इन टेकिंग, बट ये पिछले 4-5 साल में कुछ लैंडमार्क डेवलपमेंट हुई है। आप इससे किस तरह फायदा उठा सकते हैं? सपोज लाइक नेविश आइडेंटिफाइड कि अगर आप फिनटेक की डायरेक्शन में जाना चाहते हैं, लाइक यू गो थ्रू, एक काम जरूर करें, बेसिक कोई प्रोग्राम का, डेटा साइंस का बेस लेवल कोर्स जरूर करें अपनी स्किल डेवलपमेंट के लिए। आप अकाउंटिंग के प्रोफेशन है, आप अकाउंटिंग सीख रहे हैं, एक बेसिक पाइथन का कोर्स जरूर करें। बहुत सारी वेबसाइट्स है, उस पर जाके बेसिक अपनी प्रोग्रामिंग अंडरस्टैंड करें। फाइनेंस आपको ऑलरेडी आती है, आप ACCA कर रहे हैं, CFA कर रहे हैं, आपको फाइनेंस और थोड़ी प्रोग्रामिंग का जो कॉम्बिनेशन आपको मिलेगा, तो ही आप इमर्ज होंगे जॉब मार्केट में इन फिनटेक इंडस्ट्री के अंदर। आगे चल के मैं आपको बता दूं, हर बैंक, हर एसेट मैनेजमेंट कंपनी, हर ब्रोकर क्वांटिटेटिव फाइनेंस के प्रोफेशनल हायर करने के लिए बैठा। यू टॉक टू एनी बैंक, यू टॉक टू एनी CEO, मेरे पास 2 अच्छे क्वांटिटेटिव फाइनेंस के लोग हैं, मैं उनको हायर करना चाह रहा हूँ, वो कहेगा बुला दो, अगले दिन इंटरव्यू करा दो। सो आप, एक प्रॉब्लम ये है कि डिमांड है, लेकिन जो आप परसीव कर रहे हैं जिसकी डिमांड होनी चाहिए वो नहीं है। सो आप इवॉल्व करें, अपने आप को रीमॉडल करें, सो दैट यू कैन फिट इनटू दैट साइड। Markets are going to develop anyway, I'm telling you. When Binance can have more than 1 million accounts in past 2 to 3 years, while you are sitting here at 280,000 accounts, with mutual fund sitting here at 500,000 accounts, तो यहाँ तो huge potential है when you are 5th or 6th largest nation in the world. So there is a host of opportunities. Yes.
So another question for you, Bakir, and this is by Wasif Khan. What do you recommend for a student, because most of the students cannot invest, so how do they earn money so they can invest while studying?
देखिए, अगर आप स्टूडेंट है, लाइक वी डिफाइंड इन आवर इनिशियल डिस्कशन, आपके पास पैसा नहीं है तो आपका सबसे बड़ा एसेट आपका वक्त है। आप जाइए, अपनी स्किल डेवलपमेंट कीजिए। जब आप स्किल डेवलपमेंट करते हैं तो यू कन्वर्ट योर टाइम इनटू एन एसेट, दैट इज अ स्किल। सो यू गो आउट, यू टेक दैट स्किल इन द मार्केट, आप उसको सेल करते हैं, यू अर्न मनी। दैट्स अ सिंपल साइकिल। अगर आपके पास कुछ भी नहीं है तो आप स्किल डेवलपमेंट करें। अगर आप इन्वेस्टिंग स्किल डेवलप करना चाहते हैं तो वी कैन ऑफर यू स्कॉलरशिप, यू कैन लर्न ऑन आवर प्लेटफॉर्म, इन्वेस्टमेंट स्किल डेवलप करें। प्रोग्रामिंग स्किल्स की बहुत सारी वेबसाइट्स हैं। स्किल डेवलपमेंट के जमाने के अंदर अगर कोई शख्स ये कहता है कि मैं पैसा नहीं कमा पा रहा, तो या तो ये ऑप्शन होती है कि या तो पैसिमिस्टिक है, या फिर ये ऑप्शन है कि वो खुद ही नहीं जानना चाह रहा है, नहीं कमाना चाह रहा। अगर वो कमाना चाह रहा है, एक्टिव पैसिमिस्ट नहीं है, ऑप्टिमिस्ट है, तो देयर आर होस्ट ऑफ एवेन्यूज फॉर यू। स्किल डेवलपमेंट, पैसा कुछ भी नहीं है आपके पास, यू ब्रोक, स्किल डेवलपमेंट करें, दैट इज अगेन रिच माइंडसेट दैट यू नीड टू इनकलकेट योर माइंड।
And Bakir, just to add to what you've said, you see, freelancing is really picked up. We have the gig economy. We have platforms like Upwork.com. So probably that's a space where students can, on the go, take up certain assignments. It will also help them groom themselves professionally.
Absolutely.
So another interesting question, Saif Ali, he has left, but I think it's an important question, that what about the crypto markets? So crypto is a very misunderstood, or let's say very lucratively understood investment avenue. So if we could just briefly, touch upon the contours about its legality, about its credibility, what are the key areas or I would say screening criteria that should be considered before venturing into this space.
All right. So फ्रॉम द क्रिप्टो पर्सपेक्टिव या ब्लॉकचेन पर्सपेक्टिव, देखिए आप इनको 2 हिस्सों में तोड़ दें, ब्लॉकचेन एज अ टेक्नोलॉजी एंड क्रिप्टो एज एन एसेट क्लास वेयर यू इन्वेस्ट इन। देन इसको विद इन द क्रिप्टो आप एक और सबसेक्शन में तोड़ दें, क्रिप्टो एज एन एसेट क्लास वेयर यू इन्वेस्ट ऑन मार्जिन। ये एक और नया स्पेस है जिसमें पाकिस्तानियों ने पिछले कुछ सालों में काफी इन्वेस्ट किया और फिर बहुत नुकसान भी उठाए, क्योंकि मार्जिन के ऊपर, लेवरेज के ऊपर इन्वेस्ट किया। स्टेट बैंक का स्टांस बड़ा क्लियर है इसके ऊपर, दे आर अगेंस्ट क्रिप्टो। They have defined that कि ये मीडियम फ्रिक्शन नहीं है, और ये एसेट क्लास डिफाइन नहीं हुआ एससीपी के रेगुलेशंस के अंदर, तो देयर इज अ हाई लाइकलीहुड कि क्रिप्टो इज गोइंग टू बी बैंड एज पर द रेगुलेशंस. व्हाट माइट हैपन, अगर आप क्रिप्टो स्पेस में एंथुजियास्ट हैं तो आप पहला काम ये करें, आप स्किल डेवलपमेंट में फोकस करें. यू अंडरस्टैंड ब्लॉकचेन एज अ टेक्नोलॉजी, you start coding and understand blockchain as a technology. But crypto हो सकता है बैन हो जाए, लेकिन blockchain as a technology will flourish over the years. So you might go into a transition where crypto might be banned for a couple of years, लेकिन फिर regulations evolve होंगी and they will bring crypto or blockchain back in a form that is acceptable to the market. अभी देखिए मार्जिन के ऊपर या फ्यूचर्स के ऊपर इन्वेस्टिंग पीएमईएक्स भी कराता है. पीएमईएक्स का एक बड़ा क्लियर स्टांस था इसके ऊपर. द एमडी पीएमईएक्स वाज ऑफ द व्यू कि क्रिप्टो के रुपी बेस्ड कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स आपको पीएमईएक्स पे ट्रेड कर सकते हैं. बट स्टिल वी आर गोइंग विद अ कंजर्वेटिव स्टांस कि इसको अभी यहाँ पे स्टॉप किया जाए. मे बी लेटर ऑन आपको देखिए क्रिप्टो में इंटरेस्ट आएगा, 1 से 2 साल बाद रेगुलेटरी एनवायरनमेंट और इवॉल्व होगा, रेगुलेशन और इवॉल्व होगी. बट फॉर नाउ on if you want to make money, understand blockchain as a technology and build your career around it, because blockchain as a technology is going to stay here. Not because अगर आप मार्जिन के ऊपर 20x मार्जिन के ऊपर क्रिप्टो में इन्वेस्ट करते हैं, there is high likelihood that you are not going to stay here. आप नहीं रहेंगे चाहे ब्लॉकचेन रहे या क्रिप्टो रहे ना रहे. सो पाकिस्तानियों में ये बड़ा मसला है कि मार्जिन बेस्ड इन्वेस्टिंग जो है ना, नॉट जस्ट क्रिप्टो, इवन इन फॉरेक्स, कमोडिटीज एंड स्टॉक एज वेल, सेम गोज द mantra. जी सर.
Thank you, Bakir. I think that's very helpful. But again, important that more is learned and explored by our members. A couple of thank you comments by Mohammed Muaz Suhail, as well as Abdul Razik Qayyum, thanking the esteemed panelists, yourselves, for sharing information which has been very helpful. There's a question by Mohammed Tahir. He asked about livestock. So unfortunately, our session today is financial markets. So we will restrict our conversation to that. We have another conversation, a question by Hassan Raza, who has left us, but I think it's a good question, that if someone with low amount starts investing for long term, how should he diversify his portfolio in stock market? Should he first invest in only one company and then gradually diversify portfolio when income increases? So yes, so I think there are three important principles over here, that as you grow with age, your risk profile can change. So it's called the life cycle investment strategy or investment style. Secondly, in terms of diversification is always something that one should consider as a benchmark for any investment. And if you want to start, you start small, you start with one script, try and understand the entire dynamics, and probably move on and build a portfolio which includes different asset classes. So diversification is not simply having different scripts within the equity portfolio, but it's also having a balanced asset class portfolio. Yes, I think that's an important question, Harim Fatma. Thank you very much for asking that. On ACC careers, there are many jobs available, but not many jobs available for the financial market. So yes, this is something that we are working on. We call this the banking, financial institute, financial services and insurance sector. So we are working with the banks, with the brokerage houses, with mutual fund asset managers, with insurance companies, and other investment advisors to see if we can increase the number of jobs available. But just to share with you that within this space, ACCAs are analysts, our fund managers, our investment advisors, our business development people, our strategy people are making recommendations to the investment committee. And obviously there are the CFOs, the chief compliance officers, the chief internal auditors, the CEOs. Another important question, how to start investment in stock exchange? A question by Hina Niaz. I think probably this is a question that, Hina, if you could send this this question by email to us, then we can connect you to Bakir and his firm, and they can help you in terms of understanding the investment process or the procedure. Another question by Amir Rame: how can we measure and analyze performance of our set of policies or efforts when we have very poorly documented economy? We won't get true direction to set new venture, that which sector requires new entries. It will be trend-driven investments. I think that's a very important question. Documented, benchmarked, unbenchmarked. So one should always venture into scripts, equity, or sectors that we understand of. There are new sectors emerging. There is a wealth of information. It's always helpful to exchange notes with people who may be experts in this area, people who may be investing already in that area. But the benchmark rule is that you can only measure what you know. So if you don't know what you're investing in, then probably the way you're measuring your performance will not be up to your mark. Next question by Fatima Zahra: how can we develop our skills free of the cost, as courses are very expensive, for instance, in thousands and lakhs? I think if you want to pursue the courses offered by Bakir, he has mentioned about certain scholarships. There are courses available on ACCA, by ACCA, free of cost. There are courses available on Coursera. There are courses available on LinkedIn. So please start small, start with free courses. And as you get more appetite, so it's not about getting random information and you pay for the courses. It is trying to understand the relevance, number one, to your work, number two, to your interests, and number three, the future skills that you want to develop and remain relevant. Another question.
If I may also add here,
Yes,
for Fatima's benefit, Fatima, do look into edX. edX has courses from Stanford, Harvard, and World Bank. And in fact, I ended up doing one very interesting course, and I ended up registering myself for several things. And you don't have to pay for most of them, or very nominal fee. So I think that's something you should definitely look into. It's as close as Ivy League as you can get, and those are all specialists, nice videos and nice assessments also available.
Thank you, Mavish. So a question for yourself, Khurram and Mavish, and I think, how can I become an advisor in the fields which should be a combination of fintech and economics? Currently, I've done my bachelor's and ACCA, and I'm planning to move to Australia. So minus the Australia bit, you know that we have the ACCA and a bachelor's background. So what you feel are the would help this person to create a combination of economics and fintech?
Or should I take it first?
Yes, you're in the advisory field. So as an advisor within this field of fintech and economics.
Look, I would actually sort of not comment on fintech because that's not my field of expertise. But in terms of economics and in terms of project finance and debt capital markets, that's what I look at. What I can tell you that there's no shortcut. You have to be in the thick of things. You have to be in the mix of things. The most advisory you'll be able to do fresh out of college would be probably you'll be able to create a nice financial model, and so for that go back and do a good financial modeling course. That advisory, for that you do not need any experience. You just need to know how to plug in things properly, and that's something I feel that people are intimidated by. People are scared of touching Excel. People are scared of looking at complicated financial models. So right off the bat, with a decent financial modeling background and course, you with zero experience can start your advisory. But the rest of the advisory has to be a function of what you've experienced, right? Because you can only give advice when you know what happens as a result of something, some action that you take or your client takes, and that's how you tell them, don't do this or do this, but and you will get a better result, or you will be able to solve a problem more efficiently.
Thank you, Saima, for asking your second question of the day. Another question which is directed, Khurram, would you like to add anything before we move on to the next question?
So essentially, I think probably what Mavish kind of sounded off is like somebody who obviously is aspiring to become an advisor. I think probably he can potentially connect with like some of the incubators where they're like new startups coming up. They themselves are looking for people who have some level of experience in the at least academically or perhaps even professionally. So I think it's kind of it allows them to kind of they also have the tenacity to perhaps deal with somebody who is relatively less experienced, because obviously they cannot afford to have a very experienced advisor on their board or whatever. So I think that will also allow him to kind of gain that experience. I'm sure at that point in time, it will probably be a CSR kind of sort, this entire experience, but eventually he will be able to monetize this or after like some time, once he kind of develops that credibility.
Thank you very much, Khurram. So a question directed to you, Mahwish, it's by Abrez bin Abdullah. Could you talk a bit more about how you expect inflation to hit the real estate market, even though construction and development has been booming, given the rise in costs and fall in consumer discretionary income and the rise in interest rates? How do you expect the real estate to impact aspiring real estate, these factors to impact aspiring real estate entrepreneurs?
I think, Asad, this question was asked earlier. Early on, we answered this question.
Okay, I think we were going in the descending order, so this was one of the later questions.
Yeah.
Thank you for pointing that out. So Altamash has picked up a question. The Bakir, probably you can respond. Because of income tax exemptions in the past budgets, I bought a life insurance policy and invested in a mutual fund and a pension fund. Since they are no longer eligible for tax exemptions, how I can reallocate this money to protect against inflation? So this is more of an advice. If you could just lay the framework if somebody is looking to switch investments from one asset class or type to another.
Again, to summarize that, expected inflation क्या है अगले साल में ये ascertain कर लें सबसे पहले. अगर expected inflation है around 15 to 18%, so the best strategy would be, if you want to save yourself against inflation, is to go and buy T-bills and PIBs. Lock in higher yields. Either individual आप PIBs में आप account खुलवा सकते हैं, PIBs ले सकते हैं, small denomination T-bills ले सकते हैं. ये एक ऐसी asset class है जो कि कोई बैंक मार्केट नहीं करता, कोई इन्वेस्टमेंट एडवाइजर मार्केट नहीं करता, कोई ब्रोकर मार्केट नहीं करता, कोई एसेट मैनेजमेंट कंपनी मार्केट नहीं करती. उसका रीजन बुनियादी ये है कि वो जो आर्बिट्राज है, जो आपका पैसा लेके ये आगे पे टी-बिल्स या पीआईबीज में डालते हैं, वो क्लियर कर आर्बिट्राज उनका उड़ जाता है. और एज ए इंडिविजुअल आप इन्फ्लेशन को मैच करने के करीब आ जाते हैं. रियल रेट ऑफ रिटर्न आपका पॉजिटिव के करीब हो जाता है. तो ये आर्बिट्राज अपनी जिंदगी से खत्म करें. अगर गवर्नमेंट को उधार चाहिए तो आप डायरेक्टली बाईपास होकर गवर्नमेंट को उधार दें और वो रेट लॉक इन करें जो कि गवर्नमेंट जिस रेट को उधार ले रही है. सिंपल एज दैट. अब इसके अराउंड आप जो भी अपनी स्ट्रेटजी, चाहे इंश्योरेंस से शिफ्ट करना चाह रहे हैं, म्यूचुअल फंड से शिफ्ट करना चाह रहे हैं, मनी मार्केट से शिफ्ट करना चाह रहे हैं, या इनकम फंड से या इक्विटी फंड से, इफ यू वांट टू रिमेन रिस्क अवर्स एंड यू वांट टू फोकस ऑन टारगेटिंग इन्फ्लेशन प्रोटेक्शन, go directly to PIBs and T-bills. That's it.
Thank you, Bakir. So I just ask two questions now, and then we will conclude the session. A very interesting question, general understanding on skills by Wasif Khan. 3 skills that will be useful in future for Gen Z. So Bakir, Khurram, Mahwish, yourself.
So should I start?
Yes, please.
So Gen Z is basically the generation that came from 1999 till now they are alive. अगर आप उसमें एडल्ट देखें तो 1999 से 2012 के दरमियान जो लोग हैं जो एक्टिवली ऑनलाइन पे मौजूद होते हैं. नंबर 1, डेटा साइंस. आप स्कूल में है, कॉलेज में है, कुछ भी कर रहे हैं, चाहे जो भी प्रोफेशन में आप जाएंगे, नंबर से नफरत करना छोड़ दें. आप नंबर से अगर नफरत करते रहेंगे तो आप करियर में कहीं ग्रो नहीं करेंगे. आपको बेसिक प्रोग्रामिंग स्किल्स आनी चाहिए. अब इसको बहुत आसान बना दिया गया है. आप प्रोग्रामिंग सीखिए, पाइथन सीखिए, आर सीखिए, कोई भी लैंग्वेज सीखिए. बेसिक डेटा मैनिपुलेशन आपकी स्ट्रांग होनी चाहिए. उसके साथ अगर आप ACCA भी करेंगे, CFA भी करेंगे, कोई क्वालिफिकेशन भी लेंगे, आप तेज भागेंगे. बिकॉज यू विल हैव अ कंपैरेटिव एडवांटेज, कंप्यूटेशनल एडवांटेज आपको होगा और मैसिव स्किल के ऊपर आप डेटा को चर्न करके उसमें इनसाइट्स गेन कर सकते होंगे. सो इफ यू वांट टू बिल्ड योर करियर for the job opportunities of the future, start loving the data, start loving mathematics, इसमें और दो कोई राय नहीं है। तीसरा, सपोज आप नहीं उससे मोहब्बत करते, तो दूसरा काम आप ये करें कि आप कोई भी स्किल बिल्ड करें और उसको एक्वायर। लेट्स सी यू वांट टू लर्न लाइक, बिकॉज हर किसी का एप्टीट्यूड नहीं होता, वी शुड अंडरस्टैंड दैट। हर किसी को प्रोग्रामिंग नहीं आती, हर किसी को प्रोग्रामिंग में इंटरेस्ट नहीं होता, हर किसी को एक्सेल में इंटरेस्ट नहीं होता। अगर आप फॉर एग्जांपल आपको फोटोग्राफी में भी इंटरेस्ट है, गो डीपर। आप बहुत ज्यादा शैलो नहीं, डीपर मोड क्रिएट करें अपने अराउंड। जितना डीप आपका कंपैरेटिव एडवांटेज होगा, छोटा और डीपर, उतना ज्यादा आप तेजी से अपने करियर में आगे भागेंगे। बिकॉज स्किल सेट का जमाना मुस्तकबिल में होगा, रादर कि हम जनरलिस्ट बनाए लोगों को, कोई एक मखसूस स्किल उसके अराउंड बिजनेस मॉडल क्रिएट करके यू कैन रन फास्टर। So I'll keep it to do, and I'll see if the rest can be covered at the third level.
Thank you, Bakir. Yes, Mavish, please.
Thanks, Asad. And I completely agree with Bakir. I just love how you've approached it, Bakir. My two key recommendations would be, I think sustainability and ESG is a very growing field. As on a personal note, if I was given another shot at a second career, I would want to do something in climate change, climate finance. There is a lot of work going on there, and there is no fixed framework also, by the way. So that's where what I find exciting, that nobody has right now a fixed framework on how climate change has to be addressed, which means that there is a depth of scope, and there is there is a lot that can be done. Secondly, on a personal note, I feel that look, not everybody is a born doctor. Not everybody is born a finance major, or English literature major, or chartered accountant. But what you can do is a lot of stuff that you study, and if it can be converted into some kind of a tech entrepreneurship, for instance, ed tech, health tech, I feel that that bit of combination of skill and tech side, if you can just sort of combine the two, I think you can really turn it into a very interesting possibility, and आपका एक niche बन जाता है उसके.
Thank you, Mavish. And Khurram, we can close today's session with your golden words. And
I think Bakir and Mavish kind of highlighted some of the core competencies, I believe, which the Gen Z should be equipped with. I think one of the pieces I would also want to kind of advise to the incoming generation is that they should develop that strong communication skills, because what I've seen is that a lot of people who are like even aspiring to become an investment banker, they kind of lack that skill set in terms of, so a lot of emphasis has to be laid in terms of developing that, because it is a universal language. So wherever you're speaking, whatever you're operating in, irrespective of the vertical, I think so that particular piece, I think, should be perhaps be honed on, especially early in your career.
thank you very much, Khurram. So, Firoz Ali, have you been able to rejoin? Is there anything that you would say, or we should close the session?
Firstly, जी, sincere apologies.
Yes.
Was facing connectivity issues, so something I think जो कि unavoidable है globally. So apologies for that, and thank you, Asad, for covering the Q&A session. I, on behalf of ACC Investors Lounge, would like to thank all the respected panelists, Khurram, Shahid, Mavish Valiani, Bakir for moderating the session so well, and Asad for taking time out as well. Really appreciate it, and thank you to all the attendees for joining the session. I'm sure it was a very thought-provoking session for all of you. And like I said towards the start, this is just the first of the series. So do stay connected with us, and do keep a lookout for when the next session will take place. Bakir, I just wanted to for you to share some details, because as I had mentioned, हमारा MOU Investors Lounge के साथ already है, और MOU के अंदर भी मतलब Investors Lounge has been offering discounts on subscription for our ACC members and future members. So उसके ऊपर भी अगर आप थोड़ा सा, if you would like to shed some light, so that the attendees of today's session, they can start subscribing to the Investors Lounge portal, और आगे जाके भी जो भी हमारे जो collaborative जो efforts होंगी और जो initiatives होंगी, we will be sharing those as well. So would you like to share, Babar?
Thank you. First of all, Asad, thank you very much. We are really proud of you, the way you actually moderated the session during tough time, Asad. The way you are leading HCA Pakistan, it was amazing. I just saw that happening right in front of my eyes. देखिए, HCA पाकिस्तान के साथ मिलकर हमने जो बेसिक इन्वेस्टिंग स्किल्स हैं, उसकी तालीम को मुफ्त कर दिया है, जितने HCA पाकिस्तान के मेंबर्स के लिए और उनके स्टूडेंट्स के लिए। प्लस जितने लोगों ने ये सेमिनार अटेंड किया, इनके लिए बेसिक कोर्सेज सारे फ्री हैं प्लेटफॉर्म पे एक्सेस। हम आपको सिखाते हैं और सिमुलेशन कराते हैं इन्वेस्टिंग स्किल्स की, स्टॉक्स, म्यूचुअल फंड्स और दूसरी एसेट क्लास के अंदर। सो डू साइन अप ऑन द प्लेटफॉर्म investorslounge.com। आप हमारे पेज के ऊपर भी कनेक्ट कर सकते हैं, HCA के थ्रू भी कनेक्ट कर सकते हैं। आप फ्री में सीखें। फाइनेंशियल लिटरेसी आपके लिए बहुत जरूरी है। अगर पाकिस्तान को ग्रो करना है तो रिटेल को ये समझना होगा कि स्टार्टिंग के अपने आप को इन्फ्लेशन से बचाने के लिए क्या करना है। आपको कम से कम आपको ये पता होना चाहिए, and then you later build on top of it and make more prudent investment decisions moving forward. On that note, thank you very much, Mahesh. Thank you so much, Khurram. And Asad, you've been our hero today. Thank you, Ali.
Thank you, everyone. And just one last question, Ali, that I picked up. Will we be sharing recordings of today's session, number one? And secondly, the number of CPD units for our members. So I think we can just announce that on this call before closing and thanking everyone.
जी बिल्कुल जी। So thank you. So firstly, yes, a recording will be available. This is a recorded session. लेकिन for those who were not able to join, so we will be posting this on our Facebook page, the recording of the session, in a couple of days. So those of you who are unable to attend, you can visit ACCA Pakistan's Facebook page and you can view the recording there. Secondly, especially for our ACCA members, this was a 1 hour session. So yes, this is going to be a CPD recorded session as well. You can claim 1 hour of CPD.
Thank you. So I think with this, we close the session, and thank you very much everyone for taking our time. That's a fantastic session, I'm sure, and insights for our members and future members.
Thank you.
Thank you once again, everyone. Thank you very much.
All the
Thank you, Asad.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.